Hi, hello, and welcome back to another episode of my podcast. Now, what was I talking about? My name is V Noir, and today's episode is probably going to be short. Hopefully, going to be short. I'm only really talking about one movie. Uh, well, two movies, I guess technically. Ma from 2019 and Mother from 2017. Only because I was like, well, this one's called Ma. What's another movie that has a similar name that I could also talk about? I didn't rewatch Mother, so I'm gonna just talk about that from what I remember of the plot. Um, but I did just finish up watching Ma like literally yesterday, and honestly, I only really watched it mainly because one, I've never seen it, and then two, Bloomhouse was doing halfway to Halloween, uh, one day only screening of it, and it was happening, or it happened, and there wasn't a theater that I could like reach to go see it in theaters. So I was upset. I'm like, oh, the one time I actually feel FOMO, like, because I follow Octavia Spencer, who plays the hit titular. Yeah, there we go. I was like, what the fuck word am I saying? Who plays the main character, Ma, or her real name is Sue Ann, but she's like, y'all can call me Ma. Um, I follow Octavia Spencer on Instagram, so she was posting people in theaters, uh like they had recorded her because I guess she just like filmed a special bumper, which is essentially like the clip before the movie in theaters. She filmed a bumper for this like screening, specific for this screening, and I'm like, oh. And so people were recording some of that and posting it up, and she was just reposting it on her Instagram stories, and I was like, I am so jealous. I need to see this content. And speaking of, I'm like, I actually need to get like the fucking Blu-ray or DVD or whatever, because apparently there's like a second ending or a secret ending or whatever. And I'm like, or alternative ending. There we go. And I'm like, oh my god, this is just like Dead Silence, and how that has a alternative ending if you get the DVD. Um, which I have to re-get that fucking DVD because my ex took my DVDs. And I'm like, damn, what was the? I'm like remembering the alternative ending for Dead Silence, and I'm not remembering what they. I think the actual ending for the movie is more positive, and the alternative ending is way more darker. And I mean, just to kind of go into Dead Silence, that was like the follow-up film that the guys behind the first Saw movie made, that they were kind of pushed to make actually, because uh the people above them were like trying to get them to uh essentially um sort of hone in on like their fame and stuff, and just get them to like throw out something else that people can be like excited about and whatnot. So like when I read Lee Wendell's blog, he was talking about how that was like all kind of a terrible experience for him, and I was like, oh, but it's such good lore. It's such good lore. I like this. And I'm like, can I even remember the thing off the top of my head? Beware the stare of Mary Shaw. She had no children, only dolls. If you see her in your dream, make sure to never ever scream, or she'll rip your tongue out at the seams. Some good lore. And she's like a ventriloquist. And I forgot why she got killed. Oh wait, no, she got killed because this little boy had mocked her, and while she was alive, this little boy mocked her during one of her performances and was like, "You're not a good ventriloquist. I can see your mouth move." And she's like, "Well, fuck you, bitch." And then like, I don't know why I'm laughing. Oh wait, I'm laughing because I curse, not because of how horrific. the scene is, or like what she does. But essentially, she turns the boy into a ventriloquist dummy, essentially. Rips out his tongue and it's like, haha. I'm like, are you okay? It's really like that was a child. Um, and then the town like comes together and kills her. Very I was gonna say Freddie Mercury, Freddy Krueger, because he's another uh horror villain who was terrible in real life, and then a town kills him, and then same like Freddy Krueger, he like haunts, or she sort of haunts the descendants of the people that killed her. Uh, so yeah, I guess it's. I honestly didn't make that connection until just now I'm talking about it. So it's actually a lot more connected than I realized. Yeah, but I would say that's the only connection. Because at least with Freddy Krueger, he is visiting these people in their dreams and then kills them in their dreams, and then they die in real life. Um, and then with Mary Shaw, it's like an urban legend, and um, it's more of a ghost story. I'm like, I don't know why I don't want to give anything away about it, but I think, but yeah, it's like, yeah, I don't know, I don't know why I don't want to give away too much about this movie. Yeah, I believe James Wan also worked on it too. He's the one that loves the dolls, which is why he made Annabelle and stuff. So yeah, I'm like, he's funny. He loves dolls. I mean, literally, his Instagram is creepy puppet. He's a funny guy. Um, but anyway, to get into Ma, one, it came out in like 2019. I think 2020 officially. So I want to say it came out like during the pandemic. Like it probably was released in 2019, but then went to theaters in 2020. Um, so nah, I'm gonna read the overview in IMDb because I don't trust Google anymore. Um, for anything. I mean, now the person who runs Google is like, we're gonna get more money from people being forced to stay on our site to find stuff. So I'm just gonna read the description as IMDb tells it, which Shoma is about a lonely woman who befriends a group of teenagers and decides to let them party at her house. Just when the kids think their luck can get any better, things start happening that make them question the intention of their hosts. So it's kind of funny because I watched this movie over 2 days, and that's not because the movie is boring or anything like that. It does have a very slow burn, but I was tired and I was like falling asleep. So I was falling asleep during like the slow burn, but I watched like a majority of it and in one day, and then I just had like the last 30 minutes, which oh my god, the last 30 minutes of this movie are fucking crazy. So it's like I knew it was a horror movie. I knew like Bloomhouse, they're gonna bring it. So I was definitely like, when is when is the horror gonna happen? And it's literally the last like 30 minutes is when it gets crazy. Um, so anyway, just to kind of get into it a little bit, the movie kind of starts off with Maggie, who's kind of our main character. Like I feel like our main character is definitely like Maggie, her mom, because we follow her mom at her new job. We meet her coworker. She runs into people she knew in high school. I'm assuming they're like in Vegas or Nevada because she works at like a casino situation. Um, and so Maggie and her mom Erica have just moved back essentially. Like Maggie's mom just got a divorce. They were out in California. Her mom was trying to make it as an actor, but that didn't work out, so she came back home to Nevada, I'm assuming. Again, assuming. And yeah, she ends up transferring like near the end of the semester on like a Friday. And the first person that kind of reaches out towards her name is Haley, which let me get into these real names. So Maggie's played by Diana Silvers. Her mom is played by Gillette Lewis, and her mom looked really familiar. I was looking at her IMDb. She seemed to be in a lot of stuff. I might have mainly recognized her from Natural Born Killers from '94. Um, and yeah, so Haley kind of she talks a lot, and is also played by McKaylee Miller, who seems to be doing a lot of like horror movies and just like indie films currently. Yeah, she talks a lot. Seems like she's kind of like in the popular crowd or whatever. Her boyfriend's name is Chaz, who's played by Gianni Paulo. Um, and then they're friends with Daryl, who's like the only black kid in this like high school. I mean, I think there were like other black people as like background characters and stuff, so it was a little diverse, but he's the only black guy in their friend group. And then the other guy is Andy, who becomes Maggie's like love interest. And who else do we see? Andy's played by oh well, first Daryl's played by Dante Brown, who's done like a ton of shit. But I don't really recognize him from anything on his IMDb. But he's been acting since like 16. Andy's played by Corey Fagelman Minis. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Um, and yeah, so Andy's the one that drives basically. Like they all like hang out and stuff and like drink at this like rundown rock place. I forgot what it was called. Um, and so they get Maggie to like come with, and she's not like she's a teen, but she not necessarily like a party or whatever. Like she's not really down to vape, which is so funny looking at what vape. I'm like, how have vapes changed that much in the last like 5 years? I mean, it's crazy to think 2019 was like 6 years ago. Uh, um, anyway, so, and I was literally just watching this one song video uh, called Where's My Jewel from like Little Mariko, which I was like, where the fuck is she? Where's my Jewel? Where is Little Mariko? I mean, is that her name? Where's Where's my Jewel? Yeah, Little Mariko. Yeah, like where the fuck is she? And that song's from 5 years ago, which is crazy. And that was also when I was had like way more roommates than I do now. Um, what a time. I'm probably gonna like clip that song in here, maybe. I need to like make video versions of my stuff and post it, so it'll be like a fun little thing that I do later on. Oh yeah, okay, so they basically they convince her, Maggie, to hang out after school and like, drink or whatever, but they're trying to get um like an adult to buy alcohol for them. They send Daryl off first, and I truly don't think you can hear this, but there's like cars and shit going on in my background. But anyway, so they send Daryl off first, and I was like, these racist ass people not gonna buy alcohol from this young black boy who they're gonna probably fucking age up and think of as a man. Honestly, they could have just asked him to go buy the alcohol anyway, because of I forgot the actual turn of phrase, but just like, oh, the adultification of black children. But I digress. But because he does give up and he's like, these racist ass white people or racist ass people, they're not going to do it. So then they're like, Maggie, can you do it? As like a sort of an initiation. And this is when they first come across Ma, who she doesn't call herself Ma just yet. Her name is Sue-Ann, and she's in scrubs. She's got a dog and everything. And they sort of, at first she's like, no, I'm not going to do this. I don't, want to lose my job or anything like that. And like, the one guy, Andy's driving. She's like, "You're not about to drink and drive," and he's like, "No, no, no, I'm gonna stay sober." And she's like, funny, like, "All right, fine, I'll do it, I'll do it." Um, and buys him alcohol, and then she schemes, Ma schemes, and realizes that Andy is driving a van which has his dad's like security company logo on it. His dad is played by Luke Evans, who, when I looked at his IMDb, I was like, because I knew this motherfucker was real familiar. And apparently, he was in The Raven, which I love that movie from 2012, and he's in Dracula Untold, which, man, I watched so many like I watched a lot of more like obscure like vampire movies back in the day, but I do need to watch like the Dracula movie that Francis Ford Coppola did in the 90s, I think. I still haven't seen that. And then I guess people would be more familiar with him playing Gaston in the Beauty and the Beast live action movie, which I didn't watch. But I love Dan Stevens, who plays the Beast, which I didn't know. But I love him in a beard, so him clean shaven is just not. I don't. I don't like that. um. Anyway, so yeah, and then like it kind of cuts to Ben's dad getting a blowjob from another character named Mercedes, who's played by Missy Pyle Fly Play Fly Fly. Anyway, who's played by Missy, and she's like literally been in everything, and which is crazy. But I feel like I recognize her probably the most from Bringing Down the House, which is like this movie with Queen Latifah. Um, but anyway, so I'm gonna call her Sue Ann until she's like, call me mom. But so Sue Ann calls up Andy's dad again, who's getting a blowjob in a car, and it's like, hey, your son is like drinking, just to let you know, at like this rundown place that like teens hang out at. And he's like, who the fuck is this? Just a little helper or whatever. And it was just so weird. And so he gets a cop to go check on the area and stuff. And what's so fucking funny about this is like, and I realized this at the end of me like doing my little research, is that the director of this film plays the cop, Officer Granger. His name is Taylor. But I was just like, oh wait, that's really fucking funny. It's always kind of cool when a director or somebody like writes themselves, or not that he wrote himself in the movie, but he is in the movie and he's also the director. It's always kind of funny because I'm like, he's a good actor. I wouldn't have, like, I feel like sometimes someone can do that and they're not actually a good actor. I don't know why I thought of M. Night Shyamalan when I said that, but I was just thinking about directors doing cameos. Um, but I'm like, no, he had a talking role, and like M. Night Shyamalan does more like he's in the background, and or maybe he'll say like one or two things, but the officer was a recurring role. He didn't just show up during this time. He shows up a little later, um, at Ma's house. But yeah, he shows up, tells the kids like, "Hey, your dad called me. Just make sure all of this is gone, like, and just go home. Okay, just go home." So then I'm trying to remember another time the kids run into Sue Ann and get her to buy alcohol again. But this time she's like, hey, just follow me. I'm gonna take you, somewhere to do a drop off. And fucking Chaz is just like excited, like, oh shit, secret drop off. This is so official. He's excited. I'm like, oh, these people felt like they're written as teens, just like this level of naivete that comes with being young. was written really well. Like the writer of this is Scotty Landis, and he wrote and worked on Workaholics, which also, I mean, it's not a horror movie, but it was a show on Comedy Central about workaholic. No, I'm joking. About people who worked in the office, who had office jobs, but they were like, I was gonna say potheads and weed heads, but I'm like, no, they did a lot of weed and did a lot of weed. God, oh my God, what the fuck? Am I okay? They smoked a lot of weed and shit when they're off work and stuff. I didn't actually watch the show because I was like, damn, these guys, they're kind of insufferable. Um, what was I talking about? Anyway, so I was like, so you're gonna follow this woman to an undisclosed location to then get alcohol. You don't even know where you're fucking going. Like, like, oh my God, these are teens. These are young. And I mean, they also are like played by teens. It wasn't like how, well, actually, I'm assuming they're played by teens. I don't actually know how old these people are. Let's take a quick break. Okay, IMDb kind of sucks with these ages because it was showing me birthdays and not the year for some of these people. And I'm like, okay, you just don't know. That's cool. But at least of the two actors that I saw, it was like 97, 99. So I'm like, okay, so they're at least late teens, early 20s. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. Because I'm like, at least, because yeah, when you're like fucking 20, 21, you kind of still look real young. You can look real young, depending. Because if you've been getting into alcohol and stuff prior to being 21, you're probably going to look older than you actually are because alcohol ages you. You can also like gain weight from drinking too much alcohol too. Just like you get bloated essentially, all kinds of stuff. Um, I digress. I'm like, don't drink really. There's no actual benefit to drinking. Um like at all. But people can do whatever they want. Just moderation, honestly. But I got distracted by trying to figure out how old these people are. But yeah, I was like, y'all are gonna go to this person's undisclosed location with this person in a different who's in a different vehicle and she's leading you somewhere just because you want alcohol. Like, Jesus Christ. Oh, I just remembered there was a jump scare when she first gave them alcohol where she it was definitely like a planned jump scare where she hits the window of the van and is like, "Hey." And they're like, "Ugh." And then she's like, "Here's your change. I'm not an asshole." This movie was like actually pretty funny. There were like times, because okay, just to kind of get into Sue Ann before she starts throwing these house parties for these teenagers. We do get to see like her life because she works at a veterinarian office and she interacts with her fucking boss, but it's so funny because she'll be staring off into space. She'll be on her phone. She'll be on Facebook, like Facebook stalking all these teens and stuff and figuring out who they are. I still don't know how she got these people's numbers. I'm only assuming she got it because some of them might have pets. So she was able to discern. Actually, I really don't know. I don't know how she got their numbers. Um, but anyway, she, but every time her boss would catch her and she's like, "What the hell are you doing? Get that dog ready for surgery. Stop being on your goddamn phone all the time." And I was like, wow, a fucking horror movie that just doesn't let their villain uh get away with being negligent at their job. Like she's still working a fucking job. And she's also still stealing drugs from that job as well. Um to knock people out later. And she's wait, before I get to this part. So so she takes them to her house and she's like, I would feel much better if y'all are drinking safely in my basement that I don't use. Um, and Chaz is being an asshole, and he's like, "You should just like do this up, like get some table, like all this stuff." And like that would be real cool. And she's like, "You want to see something cool?" And she pulls out this gun and tells him to strip. And everybody's like freaking the fuck out because she's like, "Is she about to shoot him?" And he does like take off all of his clothes, and then she's like, the gun doesn't work. I wish it was. I mean, I think it would be too on the nose if it was one of those like play guns where if when you shoot it, it says bang. But I think it'd be too much. That would probably would have been too much. Um. Oh, but it did do that thing where I mean, we saw a gun. A gun is used later on in the movie, but I don't think it's the same gun. Or is it? I might look at into that later. um. But what else happens? So And I'm like, that shit happens. And if I was in that situation, I wouldn't come back to her place. Like I would act like I was pleasantly, had a good time that one night, but I would not come back because that's just scary. Like what the fuck? You just threatened this guy with a gun that sure it didn't work, but you were real serious and that's just scary and being a teen that's non-confrontational, I would have just been like pieced out and not shown up again and ever. But so yeah, she starts throwing these get-togethers the next time our group of teens are over. Like there's way more people from all over the school and stuff that are hanging out in the basement, not just them. And she's like done up the basement and they're like, wow, this is great. This is fantastic. And we sort of get this montage of her parting with these teens, and I'm just like, is this not weird to people? Like, this is just weird. Like, why is this person who doesn't have a child throwing parties for teenagers? Like, this is weird. And I think at that point, we were starting to get these sort of flashbacks of Sue Ann um, as a teen herself. And we see her interact with Ben, who is Andy's dad, and we see her interact with Mercedes. And we also see her interact with Maggie's mom, Erica, and like how that sort of happened, where she's you can tell she's not popular, but Mercedes and Ben are, and Erica is very much like Maggie, where she's like kind of an outsider, but she's still with this group of people. And yeah, and so there's sort of a buildup of what happens to her with them that we get throughout the movie. And sort of to like go back to Erica's mom present day. So she's working at the uh casino with her coworker Stu, played by Dominic Burgess, who I definitely recognize from The Good Place, and he was also in Our Flag Means Death. Rip. Um, who yeah, so she actually ends up running into Ben and Mercedes. Mercedes drunk out of her mind, and she's like, oh, wow, you left and you came back to here. That fucking sucks. I mean, that was just kind of awful. Mercedes sucks. But that actress, Missy, always plays these kind of bitchy characters. Like that's definitely like that's her niche. Playing a bitchy character who is a white woman with blonde hair. Like that's who she plays. Um but yeah, so kind of just to summarize what happens to Sue Ann as a teenager, she basically, she gets invited to that rundown place. She drinks for the first time with the popular crew. She is attracted to Ben. And I believe Mercedes comes up to her because Ben asks her to meet him in a closet, essentially to get a blowjob. Which, now that I think about it, Ben's always getting blowjobs, man. That's just who his character is. He runs a security firm and he gets blowjobs. But anyway, so Mercedes teaches Sue Ann how to give head, essentially, and gets her, like puts lipstick on her and everything, and escorts her to the closet, and she gives head to who she thought was Ben, and then she leaves the closet, and basically the whole fucking school is in the hallway, including Ben. So she just gave head to some nameless fucking white boy with glasses, and the whole fucking school heard her and the guy. Like, it was so fucked up. I'm like, this is fucked up. And so the movie kind of feels like we're kind of going with Sue Ann as she deals with this, like, re trying to sort of heal her trauma of, like, being ousted and, like, humiliated by these popular kids, partying with all these teens in a way she didn't when she was younger, and sort of reliving and, like, sort of healing that part of her childhood. But then when the core group, the original group, start to be like, maybe we won't hang out at Ma's, like, maybe that's it. She starts blowing them up, and and Haley, dumbass, she broadcasts to everyone like, hey, Ma's crazy. We shouldn't do this. So I think that kind of made her snap. And it was kind of funny too, because she was listening to this while at the nail salon. And this old lady's like, why are you such a bitch? Why are you playing that? Like, nobody wants to hear that, you bitch. And they're kind of arguing. And she leaves without paying for her fucking nails, her pedicure. Crazy. This movie's goddamn funny. Um, and so I'm trying to think. So it fucking turns out that Ma, Sue Ann, does have a goddamn child. I was like, what the fuck? She has a child? And she's kind of doing, I'm assuming. No, no, no. I'm assuming, but no. This She's definitely doing exactly what Gypsy Rose Jepson's mom was doing to her, which is just like poisoning her and like making her um appear to be disabled. Even though this child definitely wasn't, because she was able to walk, but Ma was making her use a wheelchair, and she was drugging her and making her take all this medication and stuff, and keeping her away from everybody else, and keeping her isolated, and she wasn't in school. And what happens is, like, oh, the thing that makes specifically Maggie not want to be at Ma's is, like, Maggie and Haley leave the basement to go upstairs because Ma's like, you know, simple rules, don't go up there. That's my life. I keep it separate. Give me some privacy. And they go up there to find a bathroom because they're assuming that somebody's fucking in the bathroom downstairs. So they go up there, and then Maggie hears, like, Ma, like, arguing and, like, being really, really rude to somebody, and that, like, spooked her, and she's like, I don't think we should come here anymore. And she tells Andy, like, hey, I don't want you going there. And like, oh, you can't really control people's actions like that. You can say that, but you can't expect them to listen to you. It's not how boundaries work. But they end up going back. They go back prior, but after she starts blowing up everybody and stuff, they're like, we're off this chick. She reaches out to Maggie because Maggie's the only one that hasn't blocked her, and she's like, hey, you guys, she's dying essentially, and has like cancer and stuff. And we do get to, well, wait, was that, there's just this one iconic image of Octavia Spencer standing behind the fucking wall and listening in on them, and I can't remember if that happened, no, 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 that happened when she dropped off alcohol and was getting them to come to her basement. Basically, that, not when she was like listening in on how they were feeling about being told that she had cancer. And Andy is sympathetic because he's like, yeah, like my mom was kind of crazy. Like his mom was kind of crazy when she got diagnosed with cancer, which is why I heard his dad is with Mercedes, I guess. Um, so basically, everyone ends up going over to Ma's. I'm trying to remember. Oh. So Maggie's dog, because this is another way that they interact with Ma. Erica, Maggie's mom, drops off the dog to the veterinarian and is like, "Wait a minute, you look so familiar, Sue Ann. Oh my god, oh my god." Um, and this is also like prior to the end of the movie. Uh, Sue Ann is invited over by Maggie's mom, and they're talking. And Sue Ann's like, "Oh my god, Mags, you're Mags, right?" And Maggie's like, "I don't fucking know you, bitch. Don't call me that. I'm Maggie to you." Just fucking crazy. I'm like, oh, she's in that crazy stalker stuff. Ooh, so scary, so scary. But Maggie decides to go to the house because their dog is like sick, and like the only person that would have done anything to him is Sue Ann, literally, who we kind of see in the shadows leaving the house. And so, oh, I'm trying to think. Okay, I did skip something. Before that, we're gonna pause there. Before Maggie is entering the basement for like the final 30 minutes. Sue Ann, before her snapping. This is like right before she snaps. Sue Ann is approached by Ben, Andy's dad, and is like, "Oh my god, hey, we should hang out. Like we should, do something," because he's dropping off an animal. And he's like, "Okay, I'll pick him up and we can then go out." And she's like, "I'll just meet you at the place at 6." And I almost thought he was just gonna stand her up, because of course he would. But he does show up kind of late. And he's being all charismatic or whatever. And then he's like, "You know what this is? I have this planet in all of my vehicles, including Andy's van. Now, why the fuck has my son been going to your house? Leave my son alone. Don't, yeah, like all this stuff," and like threatening her and all this shit. And I was like, "Oh no." And so prior to this final house party, Ma is visited by Ben, who's like, "It says my son's here, but like I don't see his van." And then she's like, "You know what this is?" And then fucking stabs him in the neck. Oh, and I keep okay, and I forgot, but she's driving a truck and she runs over Mercedes, who's like out jogging. I'm like, oh, I'm skipping around, but I mean that was just crazy because she like goes in the air and like she's ran over, like she's dead probably. Whew, okay, and so this party happening, all these people are here. She kind of kicks everyone out except for the main crew, who at this point have fallen asleep because she drugged the alcohol that she gave them, the punch. Um, and like, you guys are so stupid. Why would you go back there? I mean, if I think logically, in a, well, you would hope that no one would bring harm to you, right? Like, that's just what you would hope. So, from that perspective, it's like, okay, they wouldn't think she would go this far, right? Like this far is, that's doing too much. So I get it. Um, but still, I'm like, y'all are in a horror movie. You shouldn't have gone there. You shouldn't have gone there. Anyway, so Maggie gets stabbed in the neck with drugs. And she wakes up and everyone has like a collar on them and they're like chained by the neck essentially, but passed out. And you see Ma, fucking man, she puts like an iron to Chaz's stomach and burns him. And she's kind of like going over all the popular kids. I'm like, honestly, are they even popular? I mean, they're like a group of teens, but like Mercedes was definitely popular. Andy's dad, Ben, was definitely popular. These are just kind of a group of kids who get together. Um, and so it's fucking crazy because when she does to Darrell is wild. So she's like, there can only be one of us, and like paints over his face in white. And I was like, this is fucking crazy. But oh, okay. Jumping back a little bit, Haley and Maggie realized that Ma has been stealing like all of their jewelry because they're like, shit, my Haley's like, my grandma's ring is missing. And Maggie's like, my earrings that my mom gave me are missing. Let's sneak into the house and try to find them. And I'm like, y'all are fucking crazy. but they do, but they do sneak into the house, up the stairs, and um, find Ma's like room where she has like all these cutouts of like all of them and like all this like weird shit where she kind of interposes, yeah, puts herself in all these images with them and like um people from her high school yearbook and stuff, and it's like, oh, she's kind of crazy. And it's like, fucking Haley, you saw this shit and you still came back to this house? Man. And, but I feel like that was like a FOMO thing of like, I don't want to be left out. Everybody's here. I know I don't necessarily feel safe, but all the people I know are here, so it should be fine. Is what I'm assuming Haley thinks. And then jumping back to the basement prior to Darrell getting the white paint on him, I was like, please don't do anything to this boy. She doesn't, thankfully. That's just the only thing that happens. But to Haley, she's like, you fucking yap too much, and then shows her mouth shut. Fucking wow. And honestly, the only thing that got Maggie was she had left the basement and she's like hearing Jeannie, or she thinks she hears Jeannie saying, help, help me. And she gets upstairs and she's like, Jeannie, are you here? Are you here? And that's when Ma comes out and stabs her. Fucked up. So, Andy wakes up because he was drugged. And he kind of uses his charm or whatever because Ma's been like a little weird with him. Mainly, I think mainly because he's Ben's son. And they like hug or whatever. And she's like, oh, you smell just like your dad. Yada yada. And he's like, I love you. And like they make out and like, oh, this is weird. And you're making out in front of your now girlfriend, Maggie. Uh and then she stabs him. Not Ma stabs him because she's like, you're a liar. And I'm like, well, yes, he is. So you're not that far gone or you fell for this. Cool, I guess. And he's just like kind of passed out, bleeding out. Well, he's bleeding out. He's not passed out. On the ground. And she decides to pose everyone around the couch because she's trying to recreate this image from the yearbook of all the popular kids. But she's the one in the middle. She's the one in the center. Center, not center. um, because, that was what was happening at these parties too. She was the center of attention. This is something she didn't get when she was in high school. She's healing that inner child through these really weird methods, and now she snaps, and now she's going after, these people. I was like, honestly, we don't even know the full intention of what she was going to do because she was mainly, I mean, she did stab Andy, but she was like, she killed Mercedes. We're going to have to assume that Ben, Andy's dad, is dead because after she knocks him out with I'm assuming tranquilizer, like some sort of animal tranquilizer, he wakes up to being chained into the bed that the girls saw earlier. He's completely naked with a towel over him. She acts like she's gonna cut off his dick, doesn't. Instead, she turns on this blood bag because she's like, you're nothing but a dog, so you might as well become one. And like, it's literally like blood from a dog, which I'm assuming is Maggie's dog, that was like kind of passed out. Um, that he's getting, and then she slits his wrist essentially, and he's bleeding out while also getting blood from this blood bag at the same time. Fucking wild. And like what happened? Oh, so that happens. And then the other adult she like kills is the cop, the director, who shows up and he's like, "Hey, there's all these cars here and like all these like alcohol things here." He shows up after she's talking to Maggie after she like stabs Andy. And I'm trying to remember if she I think she no, no, no. The cop shows up, she interacts with the cop, and then her daughter shows up because she's like, I have to take care of my daughter. Like, oh my god, I can't believe these kids pranked me. And he's like, are you sure nobody's here? It's just my daughter. And she's like, blah, blah, blah. She's like, it's just my daughter. And of course, Maggie doesn't take Ma's threats seriously and is like, help me from the basement. And he's like, I'm gonna have to come in. And then fucking Ma shoots him twice, I think. And then Ma's just like, all right, get your ass out of that wheelchair and help me drag this man's body into this house. And then she's mad at Jeannie because she's like, I told you to stay in your goddamn room. I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck's going on, man? This is crazy. And then, yeah, so she comes back down in the basement, threatens her again. And I'm like, I want to see the photos get taken, to match the yearbook. Because what is it that happened before, though? I'm like, oh, let me just rewatch the movie. Anyway, so in the background, um, Maggie's mom realizes, like, oh shit, Maggie's missing. And so she meets up with Stu. Oh, wait, yeah, because Maggie took the mom's car, so she can't just drive over. Stu comes to pick her up. And Maggie had already told her mom, like, hey, this is how I know Sue Ann. This is why I don't trust her to take care of our dog because she might have been the one to do this. And of course, her mom being a mom is like, yeah, I don't want you to, you're not leaving the house ever. And then, of course, she wakes up and her daughter is not there. And I'm like, okay, mom to the rescue because the fucking Andy's dad is dead. The cop that could have saved them is dead. So, yeah. It's fucking crazy, man. So then the mom does show up and like but the house is set on fire. Oh yeah, yeah, because there's like a struggle and everything. And Jeannie is like pushes the mom down the stairs and then that knocks a candle over and the candle sets things on fire and Jeannie's like, I'm finally free, basically. But then Maggie's like yelling for help and stuff. So she comes back or she comes down the stairs and like, yeah, I mean, yeah, you're a good person. I get you wanting to escape because finally, and you're escaping your abuser of a mom, which fucking sucks. But, uh, yeah, so then Erica shows up, Maggie's mom, and whoo, just like such a showdown, and they're trying to get all the kids out. They escape from the basement entrance, and I'm like trying to remember. Ma's like holding on to Jeannie. Yeah, she's holding on to Jeannie, and Ma's just like you're just like your mom. You're not gonna stand up for anything. You're a coward. And then Maggie's like, I'm not like my mom, and stabs Ma and saves Jeannie, and everybody gets saved essentially. And then fucking Ma pulls one of those like horror movie villain things where she's just unfazed by the fact she got stabbed in the abdomen, but she's still in the burning house while and watching all of them leave. And she goes upstairs and she lays next to Ben's like bleeding out body. And then the movie ends. And I see why you were like, oh my god, is there gonna be a sequel? Because yeah, that ending was great. Like the end of that movie was crazy. I love slow burns in general. Typically, I see them in like romance novels or like K-dramas and stuff. Like I love a slow burn romance. Slow burn horror is pretty great too. I love it. Like yeah, build up the spook. Build up the crazy. Like I don't need to see it rapidly happen like that. I mean, I feel like that's probably one of the reasons I haven't really watched slashers like that because it's like, oh well, there's nothing interesting. Although I probably will watch Clown in the Cornfield, which just came out. I've been hearing good stuff on it about it, and I subscribed to Shudder, so and I think it's gonna be on Shudder, which is like this horror streaming service. They produce their own stuff. They're kind of a distribution, I think, too. They got shows, movies on there, like old stuff, new stuff. I mean, like old, like 70s, 60s, contemporary, like early 2000s stuff, and also international. I feel like I'm doing an ad. um, and like original content too. But that was Ma. I got so FOMO. Like, oh, I wish I saw this in theaters with people who were like fans of it. Because yeah, it does have a fandom. Octavia Spencer did a fantastic job. It was surprisingly funny. Um, and yeah, I think so. Since we are halfway to Halloween, I think I will try to essentially watch more horror movies and also talk about them leading up to October, um, which will be really fun. I didn't see The Monkey, which came out this year, so I'll probably plan on watching that. I plan on watching The Ugly Stepsister, which based on the trailer, it's kind of how people were talking about the substance. I'm excited to watch that. That's on Shudder, so I can actually watch it. I can stream it. Um, and then just to talk about Mother really quick from 2017, starring Jennifer Lawrence and Javier Bardem, directed and written by Darren Aronofsky, which I can't remember what else he's done. Requiem for a Dream. Yes, he did Requiem for a Dream. Oh my god, that fucking depressing ass movie. He did Black Swan, Fountain, Pie, The Whale that came out in 2022 with Brendan Fraser. I want to say he was dating Jennifer Lawrence when this movie came out, which I felt was a little weird because well, he's currently in his 50s. So he would have been late 40s, I guess, when this came out. Either way. So, Mother. Exclamation point. uh, what a movie. One of the art for one of their movie posters was made by James Jean, which I love him. He's an illustrator. Um, my friend got to meet him. He's apparently like really chill. All of his like he does these like specialty prints and pens and stuff, and they always get sold out. And I'm like, oh my god, you're so talented. He also did the Shape of Water illustration movie poster, as well as the illustrations for the book that came out, I believe. Um, I am stalling because I'm trying to get to the IMDb. There we go. So to get into Mother, I'm going to talk about it briefly because honestly, I didn't watch it recently, and I'm kind of going off of what I remember. But essentially, it's about a couple's relationship getting tested when uninvited guests arrive at their home, disrupting their tranquil existence. Now, I remember coming into this movie and leaving it really stressed the fuck out because I like my home being the way it is, and for someone to come in to my house and decide to place things where I don't want them to be placed and leaving things out of order and being disruptive in that way and then not leaving when I ask them to leave. would stress me the fuck out. And this was that movie. This was literally like her, Jennifer Lawrence, who just honestly was really, all the naming conventions were really simple. It was just like her name was Mother. Javier Bardem's name was, he was just him. Ed Harris is in this. He was just man. And Michelle Pfeiffer was in this. She was just woman. Uh, there was another Brian Gleason, younger brother, eldest son. Donald Gleason. Oh, are they related? I just realized that. um. Anyway, very simple naming convention. But that was basically this movie. Like, we see Jennifer Lawrence wake up in bed, next to Javier Bardem's character. She wakes up and she's doing these like repairs and renovations on this home, and it's looking great, it's looking nice and everything. And then all of a sudden, a man just shows up, and the man is like, "I'm a huge fan of your work," and just decides to stay there. And he's like, "I'm going to invite my wife." And she just decides to stay there. And then so first of all, it's like uninvited guests coming into your house, destroying your things, because throughout the movie, there more and more people are coming into this home, and they're either just destroying things or redoing things and all this stuff. And just so much and I'm like, oh my god, like the tism is so strong. Like, I need some level of order. Like, me moving and not having a level of order and things is like, it has thrown me off for sure. That's why this podcast schedule is still kind of all over the place, but I'm trying to get to a good point with that. I'm like, we're gonna still do it weekly, even if it's not on Friday. It's still coming out. It's still gonna come out, and that's what's important. But, whew, so there's this. At some point, it does feel like really religious. Like, Jennifer Lawrence character is mother, but she also is the house, but she's also like Mother Nature, and Javier Bardem is kind of this like godlike, I was gonna say creature, but character, where all these people like revere him and don't really care about mother and Mother Nature, and just take, take, take. And like, she gives birth at some point, and I was like, this movie isn't for someone who is pregnant, because I feel like someone would be really afraid to see this baby be born and then ripped to shreds, um, and sort of shared amongst the people that have come to destroy this home because they wanted to, um essentially ingest a part of him, which is him as Javier Bardem, because this is another one of his creations. So this movie was very stressful. I feel like they didn't really know how to market it either, honestly. So there was that too, because I think people came in, well, this came out when I worked at a theater, so I did see it for free, I remember. And I remember people like leaving and saying it was just like not what they expected, and they wanted it to be like, I guess, more of a slasher, more like uh in your face, about stuff. And it's like, no, this is it's like a very quiet movie. And reading into it more, like, they didn't even use like they didn't do a soundtrack or anything for this. Like, everything is just the natural sound of the house and people moving. Um, so there's nothing like that in this movie. Like, it's a very quiet film that's just slowly builds up to this sort of analogy about the Bible and God and war and famine and all this stuff. It gets so crazy. I feel like, yeah, I mean, I'll probably give it another rewatch, because yeah, there are very much, I'd say, religious undertones, but I'm like, they were definitely overtones. Um, but that was Mother, from what I remember, and I'm gonna end the podcast there. Thanks for listening. Check out the archive at NWWAIT NWWITAspod.com. Oh my god, okay. I was like, wait, what is my website again? Now, what was I talking about? Now, what is my website? NWWITA for the archive. I'm on YouTube, Violet Noir. I'm gonna try to post on Instagram, V_Noir. It's really hard to get that name, so it's not as uniform. But anyway, until next time, bye.